So yesterday, the day before I'm recording this video, was obviously a very big day because we got the first news about a brand new Nintendo game for 2020, which of course was Paper Mario: The Origami King. This is really exciting, and most people are pretty ecstatic about the reveal of this game because people have been waiting for a new Paper Mario for a very long time. Also, we've been waiting for Nintendo to do anything in 2020 for a very long time, obviously. Yes, I know they released Animal Crossing, one of the biggest games they've ever released, and they've had a couple of weird Direct situations where they've had them focused on one or two games. They gave us a Nintendo Direct Mini in March, and so it's just been really weird. It's, we've been waiting and waiting, and it's been a crazy year. So Paper Mario was a great thing to see, and they also gave us a release date that's in July. It's only 2 months away from now. It's crazy. But of course, as I discussed on the most recent video I made, the other big part to that reveal was the teaser at the end about something Metroid related, where Paper Mario has this Samus helmet fall on top of his head, and he's running around shooting something, and the other character is like, this is strange, is he battling something? And it's like, what is this supposed to be telling us? Is this possibly a hint at another Metroid game? Obviously, this is huge for me and for other Metroid fans. I think it is very exciting and pretty cool that they decided to throw this weird, Metroid Easter egg teaser thing at the end of that trailer. I already was excited at the idea of a new Paper Mario game. Like I said, I'm not a huge diehard Paper Mario fan, but I'm excited to play a new one on the Nintendo Switch, and I think the Origami King looks very fun. I'm definitely excited to pick up and play that game on July 17th, the day after my birthday, by the way. Literally, that game and Ghost of Tsushima come out the day after my birthday. It's crazy. So that's going to be a really busy week for me. So I'm excited for that game, but to throw this Metroid thing in was certainly very cool. And I discussed it a little bit on my last video about Paper Mario and the Metroid tease, the fact that it was there. What does this tease mean? Does this tell us that yes, a Metroid game is coming in 2020? Like a lot of people have predicted, like I've predicted, like the rumors in early January also said was going to happen? Or is this more a case of Nintendo just having fun? Is it just an Easter egg for the sake of being an Easter egg? Or is it just not really what we are making it out to be? And now, in that video, I really only spent a couple of minutes talking about the Metroid thing at the very end. Which is weird because you guys know I'm basically a Metroid channel almost at this point. I'm always covering Nintendo and everything happening with all the next-gen consoles and all that stuff, but obviously I'm here to talk to you guys about Metroid as well. It's my favorite franchise. Metroid Prime is my favorite game, so I'm invested very much in that teaser at the end of the game, and so I wanted to discuss it a little bit more, simply because the back and forth conversation has very much been, is that a teaser for a new Metroid game, or is it an Easter egg that doesn't mean anything at all? And I'll be real with you guys, it really could be either, okay? I want to explore how it could be nothing, or it could be something that's telling us about a game. And so, if I start about how it could be nothing, I think it's important for a lot of us to remember, as much as we get excited about these things, and as long as we've been waiting for news about a new Metroid game, there is a very good chance, even if I don't really believe this, there is a good chance that really that doesn't mean that a new Metroid game is coming, and it could just be something Nintendo did just for fun. A very interesting fact that a lot of people have pointed out is that the producer for Paper Mario: The Origami King is Kensuke Tanabe. He produced Paper Mario Color Splash, he's producing this new Paper Mario, and he's also the producer on Metroid Prime 4. He's produced all the prior Metroid Prime games. He has a big role in that stuff. So when people see that there's a Samus thing happening at the end of the new Paper Mario game, and they realize, well, Tanabe is producing Paper Mario and Metroid Prime 4, maybe that's a reason why he threw this Easter egg in. Not because a new Metroid game is coming, but because he's already producing both of these franchises, Paper Mario and Metroid. So maybe it was just a fun way for him to give a nod to the fact that, hey, I'm making this Paper Mario game, but I'm also making that other Metroid game we're waiting for, so here's a fun little mashup in the trailer. And on top of that, in my breakdown in my last video, I pointed out that the room that Paper Mario is in when he's wearing that Samus helmet also has little paper heads of a Goomba and of Donkey Kong in that room. And while there's reason to think that that could be a hint at some other stuff, it also could just mean basically the same thing here. That Retro Studios, who's making Metroid Prime 4, also made the Donkey Kong Country Returns games, and because Tanabe is involved with Metroid Prime, which is a Retro Studios thing, maybe it's just a correlation, like a three-way correlation between Paper Mario, Retro Studios, Donkey Kong, Metroid, Kensuke Tanabe, and it's just this whole little reason for this to just be an Easter egg that doesn't mean that there's another game. And honestly, it's all good points. I can't really refute these things. These are reasons to believe that, yeah, maybe it's just an Easter egg for the sake of being an Easter egg, just to be having fun. I absolutely think that we should be open to the fact that that's what that's saying. Maybe that's what it is. I also want to explore the other concept that I brought up in my breakdown the other day as well, and remind you guys that there's also a chance that this could be hinting at more of a mode or a feature in Paper Mario than it would be hinting at a new Metroid game, right? And the example I used in my last video is if there's some mechanic in Paper Mario the Origami King that they haven't yet shown us, where maybe Mario can wear papier-mâché helmets of other characters' faces and their heads and use some of those abilities in this game. It's just sort of a fun little Nintendo mashup. Like, maybe it's going to be Paper Mario meets Donkey Kong, meets Metroid, meets Zelda, you know, and he can put on a Link cap and use a sword. And he can put on a Donkey Kong helmet and use, you know, punches and swing from vines. Or he can put on a Samus helmet and he can use a little pellet shooting arm cannon. Or he can turn into a morph ball. Or he can put on like an Olimar head and maybe pull paper Pikmin up and use them in the game. I don't know. I don't think that's very likely, but because he's standing in that room with other heads, and that's the room he puts on a Samus helmet in this little teaser at the end of the trailer, just means that it's a possibility and something we should consider. And if this part of this trailer is only telling us that there's a new feature in Paper Mario, then that means it's not telling us that another Metroid game is coming. However, if we put all that stuff aside and we move on from the concept of it not speaking to a new Metroid game, let's put our logical brains aside for a second and let's talk about what gets us more excited and what is more fun to talk about. And honestly, what I believe, okay? Yes, there's maybe more logic to the other stuff, but I have a personal belief, you guys, that this is hinting at a new Metroid game, okay? There's a couple of reasons why, and I know that a lot of us out there believe that, okay? I actually ran a poll that, as of the time of the recording of this video, is not complete. It's only a couple of hours old. It's only got a couple of hundred of responses, but you can see here right now, more people believe that it is hinting at a new Metroid game than don't believe it, okay? And I'm one of those people. So those of us who think that this was teasing a new Metroid game, I'm going to tell you one of the main reasons why. And in fact, other people have already talked about this as well, and this is what I felt from the jump. And that's that I don't think that Nintendo would be, I hesitate to use the word stupid enough, but I don't think that they would be that brave enough, I'll say, to tease something like this so blatantly at the end of a trailer for their new game, after the title card, after the release date reveal of this game, Paper Mario, and then add this weird little Metroid Samus thing at the end and have the character talk to us, the viewer, and say, doesn't this seem weird? Why is he battling something? What's going on with this weird thing? You don't see this every day. I don't think they would be brave enough to include that around the Metroid series specifically and not have it be a hint at another game. Now we have to remember something, guys, and full disclosure, I'm not claiming this to be 100% confirmation or proof that this is hinting towards a Metroid game. I'm just telling you my personal feeling as a diehard Metroid fan and a lifelong Nintendo fan. This is what I feel, okay? And what we have to remember is the weird state that Metroid is in, right? I've brought this up in other videos about other Metroid topics in the past, and it's also relevant here. And that is that Metroid has been on shaky ground for a while. Yes, we all love the series. It's one of the best reviewed series of all time in video games. It's one of Nintendo's most popular series. Samus is very popular. But the series has never been a huge seller the way, you know, Zelda and Mario and Smash Brothers and Pokemon is. You know, its best games have only sold like 1 million or 2 million copies. Like, that's it. That's its best-selling games. So it's not really the biggest franchise, and most of its most recent titles have been very controversial and very divisive. Samus Returns, to be fair, the most recent game was very well received, it sold well, people liked it, it reviewed well. So that's a goodwill game that Nintendo does have for Metroid. But before that was almost 10 years of very controversial games. Metroid Other M in 2010 on the Wii, which most people do not like, even though I am a fan of that game. And then Metroid Prime Federation Force in 2016 on the 3DS. Another very divisive game with so much controversy. No one was happy with that game's reveal. Everyone downvoted the trailer like crazy. And then the game came out and it was not a big hit, and people didn't like it and people didn't buy it. I think it's pretty good. I think it's better than what people thought, but it is a weird, multiplayer focused game that's got a sports soccer ball thing, and it's all based on online co-op, and Samus is barely featured in the game, only at the end as a boss, spoiler alert. So the whole thing was just a weird Metroid experiment that came at a time where we wanted a real Metroid game that starred Samus. And so, yes, Samus Returns is a great game, but Federation Force and Other M had both critical reception and sales performance at pretty much an all-time low for Metroid. And Samus Returns, solely because it was a 3DS game in the new Switch era, means even though it was a good game that most of us liked, it didn't really make a huge impact as far as Metroid went. And I don't think it did much to undo the quote-unquote damage of Federation Force and Other M. Again, and I even like those games, but I can admit that they did do some damage to the franchise, unfortunately. And so, yes, Metroid's on a shaky ground. I guarantee you that Nintendo knows this. And they also know that Metroid Prime 4 being delayed was a huge blow to the fans and to the franchise, okay? Everyone was over the moon for that game. That was one of the best reveals Nintendo had in like a decade, was revealing Metroid Prime 4 for the brand new Switch. And then it went silent for almost 2 years before they told us that the game was scrapped and delayed and they restarted development. And so that's another negative thing that's kind of working against Metroid right now. So with Metroid being in a weird place, and with Metroid Prime 4 being a game on the Switch that we have been expecting and waiting for, and now been tortured with a delay and having to wait even longer, and the game has been just shrouded in mystery for far longer than Nintendo wanted, I think that their choice to even put this at the end of the trailer means that they wanted to hint at something. Because here's the thing, you guys. If there is a feature in this game that has to do with using the other abilities of other Nintendo characters like Samus, I don't think that they would have highlighted it in this way if that's all it was about. They either would have teased it in the midst of all the different gameplay cuts and all the quick action that they're showing throughout the trailer, or they would just wait for it to be highlighted later in the month, or even when the game came out. I think they would have highlighted it in a different way. But their choice to give us a whole trailer with no hint at Nintendo characters, then give us the title and the release date, and then at the very end, give us that shocker surprise moment, like it comes out of nowhere. You think you're just watching the end of the trailer, the music's playing, here's the title of the game and the release date, oh great, a new Paper Mario, and then, pff, oh my god, like they try to surprise you. They're like, surprise! Look, it's Samus. That's the goal of that stinger at the end. It's more than just an Easter egg for fun. It just feels that way to me in my core. They did that because they want us to notice it. They wanted it to stand out from the rest of the trailer and everything else Paper Mario in that 2-minute trailer. They wanted us to be like, whoa, that's Samus. And the characters talking to us about how weird this is, they must be hinting at something. And so personally, I believe to my very core that is Nintendo hinting at a new game. Of course, lest we forget that earlier in the year, there were rumors from the same person that predicted Paper Mario that a 2D Metroid would be releasing in 2020. And of course, you guys know, if you've been following me for the last probably year and a half, I've been predicting a 2D Metroid game in 2020 for a while. Not because I heard any behind the scenes secrets, okay? I'm not trying to spread a leak or that kind of a rumor. This is nothing more than just a prediction from a Metroid fan who's doing his best to read the business and just kind of read the room of what Nintendo is doing, where the Metroid franchise stands, and the fact that even before the health situation slowed down 2020, we still had a huge gap in 2020's release where we didn't know what Nintendo was doing. This was literally, even back to 2019, I was like, well, we don't know much about 2020 for Nintendo other than Animal Crossing. And so one of the things that makes sense to me would be either a Metroid Prime trilogy or a new 2D Metroid game to kind of, tide us off until Metroid Prime 4 releases. And so all of these things, and then the teaser at the end of this game, I know that there's the Kensuke Tanabe connection for an Easter egg just as a joke, but I don't think it was a joke. I don't think Nintendo would play around with the Metroid fan base in such a way. They knew what they were doing. They would be risking angering people too much to have this be a tease for nothing. Granted, I'm not saying I would get angry. You guys know me. I wouldn't get angry if it led to nothing, but I do think a lot of the Metroid fan base would get angry, and Nintendo does know that. So for all of these reasons, the way I read this thing, man, I think it means that, yeah, they're hinting at probably another Metroid game. So these are my thoughts and my feelings and my theories. I could be right. I could be wrong. Only time will tell. But it's certainly very exciting and it's very interesting. It's nice to have that little kind of morsel, like I said in my last video, a nice little tasty morsel of Metroid to potentially get us hyped. Yeah, Paper Mario is great and exciting. I'm happy to play that game. I can't wait for it. But honestly, to me, it's all about Metroid, baby. That's what I took away from that thing. I was like, Paper Mario, yeah, that's cute, that's fun, that's fun. Oh my god, look at Samus, this is crazy. That's my whole feeling here. But I'm also a Metroid fanboy like nutbag, as you guys know. So I might be reading into it too much just because I'm a fanboy. That might be the case. I'm not sitting here telling you that I'm perfect. I'm not telling you to go put money in Vegas odds that Rob said it's a Metroid game, so let's go bet some money on it. I'm just telling you my feelings, man, and it feels like a Metroid game to me. So what do you guys think? How did you read the trailer and the tease at the end? The points that I made on both sides of the fence. Do you lean more towards it meaning nothing, or do you lean more towards it being a game? You know, there's really no right or wrong answer until Nintendo shows us one way or another, right? So that's all we can do. So that's what I've got for you today. Tell me what you guys think. Thanks, of course, as always, for tuning in. This is Rob of Rule of Two Review, and I will catch you next time on another video.